and welcome to this space. Today we're going to be talking about connecting to your higher self and actualizing your manifestations and how timeline shifting works and how to set goals, smaller goals and bigger goals to bring these things done. And so if you're watching on YouTube, I am doing a TikTok live, and so I'll be talking to everybody in the comments. If you have questions yourself, you can leave them in the comments on YouTube, and remember to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification if you want to see more workshops like this. And then remember to check the description below for ways that we can work together and all the things that I have coming up. And for my people that are here live, you can go to my profile and click, and I have all the different ways up there as well and things that I have coming up. Okay, so we're going to start with a collective oracle card here, message, before we get into the timeline shifting stuff. So we have our clarity card. We have all these beautiful crystals. And so I'm going to read this to everybody. So if you want to take a screenshot of the card, feel free, because sometimes that'll encapsulate the energy and you can come back to it and receive more downloads from it as well. Thank y'all for sharing and liking the live. I appreciate that. Okay, so I'll hold it up if you want to take a screenshot. And here we go. You have attracted this card into your awareness today because clarity is upon you. The ability to express clarity is connected to the third eye, and the more the chakra opens and is activated, the more clarity you will receive. I'm going to move this music down here real quick. Okay. When our third eye chakra is blocked, it can affect our perception of situations in our lives. There are some great meditations you can do to activate the third eye, and a great crystal to assist with this is amethyst. That is my favorite. Place this crystal on your third eye point and breathe in its energy to help activate and awaken your chakra. As your third eye opens, you will receive a lot more clarity in your life. Clarity comes when we can understand and clear the confusion around stressful situations in our lives. What in your life requires clearing? It is now time for you to take action with clearing. Sometimes our mind creates illusions that stop us from seeing the truth. It is time for you to let go of those thoughts that no longer serve you and come into a place of clarity. Once you receive this clarity, you will also feel a deeper sense of self and well-being in your world. This card can also indicate that it's time to clarify a particular situation in your life. You may have asked a question, and this card is telling you that once you work on finding clarity, the answers will come. And then the affirmation that will speak over everyone is, I experience life with divine clarity. So did that resonate with anybody? You feel like that you're trying to find some clarity in life right now? With the full moon, sometimes it's a lot about releasing things that are no longer serving you, so you can make room for the new things. And so full moon sometimes can bring up just confusion and kind of like fog, because you're trying to figure out like what you need to do to shift forward and bring those manifestations in. And that's why I want to do this chat here, because sometimes we need somebody outside of ourselves to help us figure out those clarity stops. All right. This is some Florida water if you want to accept that. So, and we're all going to do a higher self activity together. I have tried opening my eyes. It always ends up, my third eye, it always ends up with a nap. It's okay. Sometimes your body is doing like regenerative stuff on your DNA and your cells. And so a lot of people like fall asleep during guided meditations, and that's fine. Because like right when you fall asleep or right before you fall asleep is when your subconscious is the most open to suggestions. So like you're still getting what you need out of it. You're probably getting it on an even deeper level, so it's fine if you fall asleep. Okay, so we're gonna talk about higher self and inner children first and how this whole situation works. Okay, so let's start with, we all have multiple inner children within us. Like when I first started my spiritual awakening journey, I thought it was just one inner child, and we hear a lot of that, you know, from people. And I had a very difficult time connecting to my inner child. It was like I was talking just in the air, right? And I felt very silly doing that. So I want you to envision that you have like an actual 5-year-old and a 9-year-old and like a 12-year-old outside of you, okay? Would you talk to the 5-year-old the same way you would talk to a 12-year-old? No. They all have different experiences, they all have different memories, they all have different perceptual lenses, they all have different stuff that they've been through, like trauma, you know, whatever. So that's inside of you as well. Like, you have all these points in your life and your journey, not just with your inner children, but like teenage, you in your 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever. They all have their own consciousness form. Okay, so if you have like a 5-year-old that has a core abandonment wound or trust wound or people pleasing or whatever wound you want to insert there, you have to go back and talk to that 5-year-old specifically about that one particular thing in order to release them from that behavioral pattern that you were experiencing in adulthood. So when you start breaking the inner children down into different ages and pinpointing those things and where they came from, it's a lot easier to heal. So I wanted to say that if you're newer to inner child healing, we want to not separate them necessarily, but honor that they all have different experiences and they all need different types of healing and they need different tools. Like a 12-year-old's consciousness is way different than a 3 or 5-year-old. And when I do inner child healing with people and we go in to meet with their inner children, it's very different meeting with like a teenager than a 3-year-old, right? Okay. Thank y'all for sharing the live. I appreciate that. I had a crazy astral projection experience through meditation yesterday. Oh, that's super cool. I have astral projected a couple times and it's a wild experience. Okay. So this is your life. Let's envision that you're going up a mountain. Okay. So you're in the mountain, like you're in the trees and the creeks and like all this stuff, right? You can't see the top of the mountain because you're in it. That's life. Your higher self, like your highest self, is at the very tip top. They can see everything. Okay, that's before you got here. Excuse me, that was you planning out your life. You're like, I'm going to experience all these things, I'm going to meet all these people, I'm going to learn all these lessons, like, we're going to vibe, okay? But from where you're sitting inside the mountain, you can only see the next couple steps, right? And so, this is you as a baby, this is you at the end. Okay, like the final evolution of self, okay, before you go on to the next one. So, these are your inner children, or past versions, right? Anybody. Like, let's say that you're 25, you have a 22-year-old past version, right? When people get stuck with manifesting and they're not able to move forward, it's because you still have behavioral patterns and triggers and trauma that have been unresolved or unprocessed emotions from here. What that does is it creates these filter lenses over your reality, and it causes you to not be able to move forward because you're still living in these childlike state of consciousness. And I'll give an example. So, like, let's say that you go to a family function. Easter's coming up. Okay, for a lot of people, I don't know if you celebrate Easter, but everyone knows Easter. So let's say that you are like deep into your spiritual awakening journey and you are doing great. Okay, you are very self-aware. And then you go to a family function and then all of a sudden you get like super triggered and you start behaving and acting like you did when you were a child. Not like child behavior necessarily, but like you just kind of like snap back. That is from PTSD. That is when we have emotions and memories get tied up with one another. So when we feel that emotion come up again, it snaps you back to that old way of being, right? Because that trauma is like a memory in your body. So if we haven't processed through that, what ends up happening is your inner child takes over and you start acting through that lens, right? Or like when I work with people that are dealing with like people pleasing, let's say that you have a boss, great boss, love them, right? Magical. But if they come at you with any type of like confrontation energy, not even confrontation energy, they're just trying to like give you some constructive criticism, your rejection dysphoria might kick up an abandonment and trust wounds from childhood. And now your inner child is freaking out. And that's when we start going into fight or flight, and we start getting panicky, and we start catastrophizing, and self-limiting beliefs come up. It's because you have unresolved trauma from childhood that has not been processed. And so you're still living through those lenses, right? So a lot of us empath, light workers, and neurodivergent people and highly sensitive people are very, very powerful manifestors, like extremely powerful manifestors, because we are hyper attuned to frequencies, all frequencies. That's why like music really hits you in your soul, or like art really hits you in your soul a lot more than other people, is because they're all different frequencies that you're picking up on. Okay, so if you are living from a state of being where you have a lot of unprocessed stuff, you are manifesting through those lenses. So you're just going to pull more negativity into you. Like I used to have a life where it was just like negative, 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 like one after the other. It's because once you start the forward momentum in any type of frequency, then you get more of it, right? Because like attracts like. And what we pour energy and attention to is what we get more of. And so if you have a lot of chaos energy up here and like self-limiting beliefs and negative thoughts and like, you know, all this stuff, disaster, catastrophizing, then you just keep manifesting that stuff, right? So that's when people talk about, hey, we really have to learn how to process our emotions and heal our inner children and clear out all that heavy, dense trauma and do shadow work. Like, you cannot manifest positive things in your life if you are living like in negativity and fight or flight 24/7, because then you just get more. Excuse me. So what we need to do, there's a couple different steps here. One is we need to learn how to calm down our central nervous system. Like that is one of the biggest things that shifted my life. And like I have a great, very successful life right now. Most of that is attributed to calming down my central nervous system and learning how to slow down my brain waves. Like a lot of us listen to Joe Dispenza, and he talks about that, going from like beta brain waves, which is like frizzle frazzly energy right all the time, to being more calm and relaxed and being able to step outside of your current human situation and look at it objectively and make rational decisions that aren't like reactatory, emotional based ones. You have to learn how to chill. Okay, and most of us that are neurodivergent, okay, empath light workers, we already have like way more energy than most people. Like it is just like electrical currents going off, like you're an electric eel 24/7, because a lot of us have trauma wounds that have caused us to become that hypersensitive. Like you probably had family members around you, or your environment wasn't safe, that molded you into somebody that looks for negative frequencies. That's where people pleasing comes from, and hyper independence and like all this stuff, because it's like, I need to know what's going on around me all the time with everybody and read everything because I don't feel safe. But then what that ends up doing is it attracts more negativity to you. It's a safety trauma response. It's not your fault. Most of the stuff, like when I'm helping people learn all these things, it don't have anything to do with you. Like that is just stuff that you were taught in childhood, and you weren't given the tools that you needed and the resources, and it just is what it is. But it's not your fault. But you can't fix it. And not fix it, but you can heal it. Okay. Oh good, I'm glad that it resonated. Lindsay, thank you. Okay, so calming down our central nervous system. There are tons of videos on YouTube, like tons and tons of videos. Like just type in how to regulate central nervous system. That's a long chat. And then it's like outside of what I'm talking about now. But if you really want to change your manifestation game and change your whole entire life, like when you are experiencing fight or flight and you are in chaos energy, it is more likely that the energy that's running through your body latches on to self-limiting beliefs and catastrophizing and negative thought holes. And then once they latch onto that, it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Right? It's kind of like, has anybody ever woken up and then you like had something negative happen at the beginning of your day, and then everything gets worse and worse and worse as you keep going throughout the day, and now it's just like awful? It's the same exact thing with your energy. Like you have to learn how to regulate not getting into those states, right? But there's a lot of steps in between that. Okay. The second one is processing your emotions. When I'm teaching people how to manifest things in their life, you literally need to take out whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, like the actual 3D thing. It's the feelings that thing is going to bring you. Like all these manifestation and mindset people that talk about like, oh, visualize this, visualize that. That's great. Okay. But visualizing is this layer. People are trying to visualize and bring things in and they wonder why it doesn't come in. It's because you have to go deeper. You have to resonate with the emotion that manifestation is going to bring you. It literally doesn't matter if you visualize if you're not connecting to the emotion. It will not come through. Like you have to resonate with the frequency that thing is going to bring you. So let's say that you want a new career, you want a house, you want a romantic partner, you want whatever it is. Okay. You can visualize all day long. You got to connect with the emotion underneath. What is that? Is it happiness, bliss, peace, serenity, safety, security, feeling magical? There's all these different things. That is what you have to connect to. But you can't feel those things unless you regulate your central nervous system. Because when you're in fight or flight, all those good emotions go out the window. Like now we're in panic and we're in fear, right? So that's why these steps, you have to do them all in conjunction with one another in order to bring these things through. So let's think now, like what is a manifestation that you want to bring in, that you're currently working on? Now we need to figure out what will you feel when that comes your way. Okay, so let's pick like a house. So we're manifesting a house. It's going to bring us happiness. When you are panic, fight or flight, very difficult to feel happy. Okay, because we're like a scared animal that's trying to like get out of the situation. So what we can do, because when you're thinking about your house, it's bringing you stress and anxiety, and now it's pushing it further away. We need to think in our life, oh, hey, we need to think in our life, what is already bringing me happiness? A pocket of that. Is it the coffee you had this morning? Is it the walk that you went on? Is it having toilet paper? Because that would suck if we didn't have toilet paper. You know, like whatever it is, we need to be finding pockets of that throughout our day and taking a second to sit inside of that vibration and frequency. Like, oh yeah, I drank an energy drink this morning. They bring me happiness. Okay, so like, I'm thinking about that and thinking about how happy that made me in that moment while I was drinking it, and just really sit in that for a second. It'll instantly bring you up your vibration and frequency instantly. And you're also being grateful at the same time. You cannot be grateful at the same time you're being fearful. They're completely opposite frequencies from one another. So when we're spiraling in negativity land, we got to switch channels. Okay, but you can't switch channels thinking about a manifestation that hasn't come in yet if you're still living from stress and anxiety, because it's just going to push it away. So we have to find a pocket of that emotion where we're already experiencing it in our life and sit in that for just a second. It doesn't take long. Just sit in it for a second. Now tell the universe, this is what I want my manifestation to feel like. Because if you start connecting with the emotions under your manifestations and you stop worrying about the actual physical thing, the universe starts bringing you all kinds of things that attach to that emotion that you didn't even ask for. Like, it starts shifting everything in your life, because the universe works like an algorithm. What you put in is what you get out, and vice versa. It's like you're curating your life, like TikTok and Instagram. Okay, so if you're pumping into the universe like these happiness pockets or whatever emotion you want to feel, you're telling the universe, like, bring me more of this. This is what I want. And then that naturally starts regulating your central nervous system because you are feeling better and you're having more positive experiences being brought to you. This is literally how I shifted into a completely different life. You have to do all of these steps. Okay, we're going to talk about some more of them. I doubled my money container from last month. Oh, that's so exciting. Yay, Lexi. Lexi participated in my multidimensional magic course. Y'all can find that in my profile description down here, and we talk about how to bring more money into your life like this. That's how I brought more money into my life as well. Okay, good, it's clicking. Awesome. It's resonating. So processing your emotions. Emotions are everything. We are energy emotion. We are energy beings. We have these physical vessels, but emotions are how we experience life, right? So if we're feeling icky, yucky ones, you get more of it. You feel better ones, you get better things. You get a better life. Okay, so regulating your CNS, working with your emotions, and then we have inner child healing. So like I said, if you are trying to shift into this new version of yourself or a better life, it's going to be difficult to do that if you still have behavioral patterns and triggers from your inner child, because they're literally blocking you from moving forward. Like if you have abandonment wounds, trust wounds, people-pleasing wounds, hyper-independence, you have just pick whatever wounds you want, like it's going to be difficult to timeline shift into a new person if you still have these filter lenses. So that's why I'm always preaching about inner child healing, because when you start doing that, it releases you so that you can shift forward, right? Okay, so the next one we have here is small and big goals. Okay, so let's say that we've done all this. Let's say that we have worked on our central nervous system, learned to process our emotions, working on healing our inner children. Oh, hey, good morning. Good morning. Your tips and tricks start working. I started earning $200 in January to $2,000 plus now. I'm telling you, this stuff really works. Like we're talking about specifically money. This is how I shifted from being a single mom struggling just in life, not just with money, but just like I did not, it was not the vibe, to now owning my own business, making more than $10,000 a month and doing something I love, from figuring all these things out. Okay. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. Thank you for all that you do. Your programs are worth it. You're amazing. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you, Lexi. I appreciate it. That's why I share this stuff, because it took me a long time to figure these things out, and I don't want other people to have to go on that journey. Okay. You make $10,000. Yes, I do. It was a lot of hard work, but I got there. Okay. So where was I? Okay, we need big and small goals. So a lot of us are trying to jump from where we're at right now. So this is you in life, okay? We're trying to jump too far ahead. Like we're trying to say, oh, I want to be a multimillionaire. I want to have this like huge successful business. Insert whatever you want to put there. And those are great. We need long-term goals, like big goals. And when I tell people, like when I ask people, what are your big goals, like your life goals? I tell people you're not dreaming big enough. Like there's a lot of us that are still playing small in our life. And I'm like, whatever your big goals are, you need to go bigger. Like you need to go way past that, because the only person holding you back from that is you and your mindset. Like you can literally achieve anything that you want to. It's how much you are willing to allow yourself to dream. Okay. A lot of us have a hard time getting here because we're missing all these other intermediate steps in between. Like we're losing traction and we're losing fuel because we're not paying attention to all the little inspired action steps that we need to take in between. Okay, so we still need to have the giant big goals, but what I do when I work with my clients is I have them personify who you are a year from now. Like have those big giant goals, but we need to scale it all the way back. And I'll give you an example. So like the ladder needs more rungs or you can't reach the next step. Yes, yes, exactly. Okay. So let's say that you want to make $1 million. Okay, but you're not even making $5,000, which is fine. Like, it's fine, but we're not making $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month right now. It is too big of a frequency jump for your subconscious and your energy field to even believe that you could make $1 million. Like, we want to have that as a goal, but you got to hit these other markers, right, before you can start opening up your container that big. Right? Like when I was making $1,500 a month, it was inconceivable for me to make $10,000 a month. Could not be me. But I knew I was going to be a millionaire. Right? I had to push my container to $2,000, to $4,000, to $6,000, then to $10,000. And the next one's $15,000 a month, right? You got to have action steps in between to get to these goals. And if you're not taking the inspired action steps, you're not going to get there. Okay? But you need to be clear on what these steps are. Right? But we need to have smaller attainable goals. That way when you do achieve them, you feel so successful. You become a very accountable person. You become extremely focused and motivated because you're like, wow, I can do anything. You got to do it in little chunk bites at a time, right? So when I talk to clients, sometimes I'm like, okay, what are your goals? And they say blank, 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 blank. And I say, okay, who are you a year from now? And they say, I have no idea. And I'm like, well, we're gonna be on the struggle bus to try to get to that because we don't have clear vision. We don't have clarity on what steps we need to take to get there. So then we are living in like ambivalence land of not doing anything or not taking big enough inspired action steps, right? So we're gonna talk about how to do this. We need to be picking goals that are obtainable in a year, and even if we don't make them, that's fine because forward movement is forward movement. And sometimes you got to pivot. Like sometimes these goals that we pick are not meant to be our forever goals. Like I was going to school for psychology and I was going to go get a clinical doctorate degree in clinical psychology. And along the way, I had to make a pivot. Like I ended up becoming a spiritual coach, which is similar but different. Okay. But I still had an overarching goal of I want to help people for a living. And I headed toward the clinical doctorate degree and just kept on taking the steps and then pivoted and then went this track instead, right? But I kept on taking all these like action steps along the way to get me to where I'm at now, right? But it's okay to pivot. It's okay not to meet your goals fully. If you're making forward movement, that's great. That's all we're worried about, or not worried about. That's all we're focused on. Is forward movement. And I'm going to help everybody in here, if you're watching on YouTube, help you with some of these goals. Okay? I'm attracting and moving, but don't really know where I'm going. Sometimes we're not meant to. Sometimes we're not meant to know all the steps because then that kind of like takes the fun out of life. Like if we knew everything, you just need to take the action steps that you can right now. Does that make sense? Okay. So when we heal all this stuff back here, not all the stuff, but when we actively work on healing our inner children, now we're free to move forward up the ladder. You healing your inner children naturally shifts you into your next higher self. Like you heal behavioral patterns and triggers, now you're a new person, right? And you can manifest on a new level. So these are our big goals. We need to personify this person. Who is this? Who are you a year from now? And I don't mean like, this can be physically or extrinsically and intrinsically. Like a couple years ago, I envisioned myself the way that I look now, like with my blue short hair and all this stuff, and then I became that person, right? But it doesn't really mean a physical attribute. Sometimes, like if you have like a health goal that you're working on, but a lot of the stuff is more about intrinsic. Okay, So we're gonna do it together in this activity. Okay, so this is a guide that I put together for my clients to help them personify. So we're gonna think about you a year from now. Okay, I want you to like really sit for a second and just envision you in 1 year. Okay, so what is today? Today is April the 6th, 2023. Or whenever you're watching this on YouTube, okay? Whatever day it is for you. I'm gonna get some Palo Santo here really quick. Okay, so what is an emotion that you want to feel a year from now? Put it in the comments or the comments on YouTube. What emotion do you want to feel? Just pick one. And let me know in the comments here and I'll read some of them. Because remember, emotions are the fuel for our manifestation. So what do you want your main emotion to be, or one of them? Peace. Love that. That's one of mine that I wrote down this morning. So peace, happiness, love. Peace, happiness. This is in Palo Santo too, if anybody's wondering what this stick is. Okay. So what we can do is as we're going, acknowledgement. I love that. Acknowledged, or feeling acknowledged. That's a great one. Okay. So as we're going throughout our day, we can ask ourselves, how can I feel these emotions right now? How can I feel more of this? Free-spirited, peaceful, calm, intimate. Love that. So where are pockets that you're feeling this right now? Okay, put it in the comments. When are you feeling it? What makes you feel that emotion now? That's where we have to take a second throughout our day and connect with what is bringing us that now, because that's gratefulness, which snaps us out of fear. And it's also putting an order out into the universe and saying, I want more of this. And the more that you connect into it in the here and now, you are embodying future you. You are embodying higher self. You know how everybody like hears, like, if you want something, you have to be it first. That's exactly what this is. If you want to be a higher self version a year from now that feels more peace in their life, then you need to feel that peace now. And a lot of people say, well, I don't have this manifestation, so how am I going to feel peace? It's literally not about that. Where do you find it now? Because the universe is not going to bring you more stuff that you're not grateful for in this moment currently. Right? So I'll share some of mine. So peace, fulfillment, and excitement. So throughout my day, when I experience something that brings me peace, fulfillment, or excitement, I sit in that for a second and say, this is what I want my manifestations to feel like. This is who I want to be. This is who I am. Right? And just really encoding that into your energy fields. And then you start to see more of it, because that's how your subconscious works. It will literally be on the lookout to bring more of this into your life, because what you place energy and attention to is what you get more of. So I want you to listen to what I'm saying right now. Pockets of emotions. Where can we find pockets of these emotions throughout our day? Okay, so everybody that just shared an emotion, when you feel that today, I want you to sit in that for a second. And then once you feel the emotion, I want you to tell the universe, that is what I want my manifestation to feel like. That is what I want my life to feel like. This is higher self me. Okay, and just do that all day, every day, and see how wildly different of an experience that you have. Because you're constantly, like all day long, lifting your vibration and frequency and calming down your central nervous system and learning to process your emotions. Okay, it all works in tandem with one another. Okay, so here we go. That's what I'm trying to find. Haven't been happy for a while now. Lindsay, that is what I mean too when we're trying to create too much of a chunk of happiness, when our vibration and frequency is like so low, not you necessarily, Lindsay, but like it's so in the pit, because I've been there too, like where I lived through major anxiety and depression. It's hard to keep a frequency of happiness when you're experiencing those things. So we're not going to do that. We're going to find pockets. Okay, we're going to find little things throughout the day. Not the whole, little things. Okay? Little pockets of happiness. And sit in those when we can. And then once you do that, it starts picking up, right? Like being happy when you're way down in the other frequencies is too big of a frequency jump for you, right? So this is where we're going to micro shift, right? And then all of a sudden you are living a very happy life, but we got to do it in pockets. Okay, so personality traits. What is a personality trait that your higher self a year from now has? Share it in the comments, and then I'll share mine. I put fully trusting in myself and the universe. Really good with financial investments. Like I want to like get into investing. And so centered is another personality trait that I had. So I would love to read some of y'all's if you want to share them as well. What is a personality trait that your higher self has when you think about them? And I'll give everybody a second. And it can be any type of personality trait. Courage. Oh, I love that. And being courageous. Love. See, and that's where we can start to ask ourselves, like, if we are scared to do something or fearful to do something, we can say, what would my higher self do? What would be a courageous decision here? Right? Because now we have a backboard. We can say, would my higher self choose not to do this thing because they're afraid? No, they would go ahead and do it. Right? Emotionally balanced. Love that. So, Lindsay, your higher self, when you are, this is just generalized, okay, but for anybody, but when we are trying to push down our emotions, right, and we don't want to feel them, and we're kind of just like sweeping them under the rug, that's when we have to come in and ask ourselves, what would my higher self do? Would they, an emotionally balanced version of myself, would they take time to sit and process these and look at them and feel them? Because that's how you shift over, making the other decision, the one that goes against what you normally would do. That's how we quantum shift, right? Divinely held and connected. Love that. So are you making time, like if we're saying like, oh, I'm too busy in my current life to connect with spirit, then we need to ask, like, would my higher self make time to connect? Right? And then you have to make time to do it. This one's actually a little harder for me to envision. Yeah, this might be a reflectory question for some people too. Like maybe you need to think about what personality traits, but I just want to more explain the process of you got to make the decision that your higher self would make in order to shift into a life that you want, right? Okay, so what is a belief that you hold about self? What is a belief that your higher self thinks about themselves? So I'll share mine, okay? As an example, I can create whatever I desire. That's what future Sage thinks about herself. My magic extends past what I thought I was capable of. So that means it's ever growing and evolving. I make aligned decisions. So that is future Sage, right? I'm already like embodying that, but you can always embody those things on a bigger, grander scale. So ask yourself, what belief does my higher self hold about themselves? Because it might be wildly different than one that you do right now, which is great because that gives you opportunity for big growth, big change. Okay. If anybody wants to share a belief, I would love to read it in the comments, either here on live or on YouTube. Okay. I'm gonna light this sage really quick. I am an embodiment of the divine expressing itself. No experience is wrong. I love that. There's no right and wrong decisions. It's all experience. When you start living in that paradigm, you really start like trusting yourself and trusting the universe, and like you realize that if you make a decision that wasn't in alignment, or there's decisions that are more in alignment, you understand that you can just pivot. Like it doesn't matter what decision you make, you just pivot. And that's like a whole different way of being. Okay, so, and thank you for sharing. Okay, so the next one is, what is something you need to release in order to shift into your higher self? That can be a behavioral pattern, it can be a self-limiting belief, it can be toxic people in your life, it can be codependency, it can be anything that is keeping you from your higher self version. Okay, so I'll share mine. So I put guilt over purchasing investments. Like that's still like, I grew up with a lot of lack mentality, and I had to work through a lot of my money mindset. But even now, sometimes like when I go to get something for myself, it's not like my son or my dogs or for my home or whatever. Sometimes there's still that like guilt in there, and so that's something that I want to continue on releasing. Okay. Do you have a plan for your business if TikTok gets shut down? Yeah, I don't just do TikTok stuff. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Like I diversify, so that way if that were to happen, you can find me everywhere. I need to release grief and feelings of inadequacy. Yeah. So let's say that you are feeling grief, right? And grief is an interesting emotion. Underneath grief is like intense feelings of love, right? Because in order to grieve something, we had to love it very deeply. So maybe like the guilt of feeling grief, because grief is one of those things that, like if you have a past loved one, like you may never let go of grief, but it's more like guilt of feeling grief, right? Or like when you're feeling inadequate, that's when we tap into higher self us and we say like, how would they perceive this right now? Like, how would they feel? Do they feel inadequate? You know what I mean? Because now we have a backboard to spring off of with that. Okay. Can you explain the fear of taking up space? I can add that to my notes here. I want to get through the rest of this, but if I have time, I'll talk about that at the end. Taking up space. The fear of taking up space usually comes from abandonment and trust wounds from childhood. Like that's usually what's underneath. Like you have, you didn't get the safety and security that you needed as a child, and so, or like your needs weren't met. There's a lot of stuff that goes along with that. Okay. So the things that I want to release are guilt over purchasing investments, biting my fingernails. Like sometimes it doesn't have to be like woo-wee, like behavior patterns and triggers. Like that's a behavioral pattern that I've had since I was like a very small child, as like a way to regulate my central nervous system. And I also, as an energy healer, I have like so much energy in my hands sometimes that it's very difficult for me to ground. And so like it's just what I'm continually working on. And then fears around dating. Like I've been single for a long time, one, because I really wanted to like hunker down and focus on myself and my business and making these like giant shifts. But I live in a very like conservative, religious, Bible Belt state, and so there's not like a whole lot of people in my everyday that are like super woo and metaphysical. Okay, and I really want to bring more people like that, not just like romantically, but just like friends. But there's still this like self-limiting belief sometimes that like they're not around me. Sometimes they are, but your own filter lenses are keeping you from seeing them. Does that make sense? Or like aligning with them. So that's what I'm still currently working on. Okay, so what is a new skill that you want to learn this year? Like skills can be a lot of different things, like cooking or wielding, or like if you want to learn how to sew, like what is a new skill that you want to pick up? So let me know in the comments what that is. This is something that's going to help your mental capacities, like growth and knowledge, and help you evolve into this new person, if anybody feels like sharing. Okay, skill. Mine is working on Meridian Lines. Like, that's something that I want to be able to help my clients with on a deeper level, is specifically like Meridian Lines. I want to learn how to pull a horse trailer so I can maybe pull a camper or live in a horse trailer. Oh, I love that. And that's you connecting with your higher self, because you probably see this vision, right, of like what your life could look like or could be. So a first step on that journey would be learning how to pull a horse trailer. Like, that's what I mean by those like little action steps that you can take that help push you towards that timeline. Exactly like that. Studying herbalism. I love that. Okay, great. Okay. So what is a hobby? Oh, recognizing intuition. That's a really good one too. Milky Way Space Jam. I love your username. That's super cute. How to repair our hardwood floors and save $12,000. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And so these are action steps that we can take, and it helps you feel really successful too when we're learning these new things and we're proving to self our capabilities. Because once you start doing this in different areas of your life, even though it has to do with your hardwood floors, or it has to do with herbalism, or it has to do with Meridian Lines or horse trailers, once you start proving how successful you are to self, like, you become unstoppable in all areas of life. It's not just with that one particular thing. It's like, no, I can do anything. Okay, so that's why I like to add that one in, because it is very helpful in your whole entire life. Okay, install a new bidet for my toilet for my mom. Oh, that's cool. that's a nice one, because you're doing something for somebody else as well. I want to learn how to clean better. Yeah, like, these things give you huge amounts of dopamine and teach you that you can do, no matter what it is, right? Okay, so a new hobby. What is a new hobby that we want to do? This is something that doesn't attach to bringing us money. This is something that we are purely doing because it's fun and it fills up our cup. Because sometimes, especially like neurospicy people, get so like, oh, well, this is gonna be my new thing and then I make a business out of, or like, how can I monetize this? It's very like capitalistic behavior that we're all trying to like pull away from, which, if you are having activities that are giving you joy and fulfillment and making you happy, it's going to bleed out into other areas of your life and make you more successful in other areas, because you are filling your cup up. But if you pressurize it with like money, sometimes that takes the fun out of it. So we need to have things that we're just doing because it's fun. Does that make sense? Painting, love. Find outdoor trails for bicycling. That's fine, because then you're out in nature with another guy getting some fresh air. I don't know how to separate hobby and money. Yeah, that's what I mean. We gotta do some things that aren't through the lens of like, how is this gonna make me money? Because then it kind of like takes the fun out of it. Not always, but we need something. Okay. I love scrapbooking. My daughter isn't 1 and has 3 already. Oh, that's great. Love that. Yay. Okay. Those sound like fun hobbies. Okay. So now we're going to get into goal setting. Okay, so we're all going to set some goals together. I'm going to run to the restroom really quick. So I'm going to pause the live for just a second, but I'll be right back. Dancing. I love that. Yes. And there's just all these different forms of dancing that you can learn too. Okay. I'll be back in 1 minute. Okay, thank you all for holding. I appreciate that. Okay, so we're all going to do these goals together. And if you want to share in the comments, I would love to read them. I'm going to light this Palo Santo here really quick. I'm going to leave financial goal for the last one because that's kind of like a two-part thing that I want to talk about. Okay, so what is a spiritual growth goal that we have? Like, what do you want for your spiritual health? This can be something that is intrinsic or extrinsic, right? So I'm going to share mine as an example, okay? Like, maybe you want to work with spirit animals, okay? Like, whatever that is for you. So mine is travel to Rhythmia in Costa Rica. It's a plant medicine ceremony place. And so that is going to help me with my spiritual growth, right? It's been something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. And a year, like, it's not out of the realm of capabilities for me to make that happen within this year. Like, we need to pick something that is tangible for us to do within a year. If you don't meet it in a year, that's fine, but you need to have something that your brain will believe, right? But still push yourself a little bit. Oh man, I have so many. Yeah, sometimes we have too many things that we're working on. And then it kind of like disperses our energy everywhere and we're not like focused enough. If you have like a gajillion different goals, love that for you. You sound like very ambitious. But I want you to remember that when you disperse your energy, like, you only have so much time and energy. And when you disperse it too big, now we're not taking big enough action steps on certain things. And then we wonder like why we're not making traction or forward movement that we want to. You got to pick some like pillars to work on. Okay, and I'm not saying to just like focus on one thing, especially for like neurospicy people, like we're not capable of that. But we need to bring it down a little bit. Okay. Hey, thank you. I hope you're doing well as well. So again, if anybody wants to share their spiritual goal, I would love to read it. Or it can be just a reflectory question. Learning about crystals. Love that. See, and that's a tangible one that you can continuously work on through the year. You can be a crystal expert in like a year if you focus on that. I want to automatic write to connect with source and angels with ease and grace. Great. So if this is one of your goals that you write down, then you can always go to the list and say like, oh yeah, I need to be working on this, right? Once a year, get my family together on the beach for a yearly photo. Oh, I love that. That's great. Having a set daily ritual of grounding and protecting my energy. Great. We need to write these goals somewhere. They need to be up on the wall. If you have it in a notebook somewhere, you're just going to forget about it. Like, when I was trying to, like, really get my life together, okay, and it was just, like, a whole hot mess, I wrote out all the things that I needed to do in my life and all the goals and put it on my front door, like, on the inside. And so every time I walked out my door, I'd be like, am I doing these things, right? And I had it on my bathroom mirror as well, so I was like constantly looking at it, because if it's just in a notebook, you're not going to do it. Okay, especially if you're neurospicy. I want to have a home where I can create a room for meditation, clients, and energy. Beautiful. See, now we have like clear vision, clarity, and we can take these little action steps to get ourselves there, right? Okay, what is a health goal that we have? Sometimes when I'm talking to people and I'm like, hey, what's your health goal? And they're like, I just want to be my healthiest version. Okay. That is not going to get you there. You have to have tangible things to work on to get there. Like, that is a esoteric concept that means a million different things. Do you want to be a certain weight? Do you want to eat a salad more times a week? Do you want to go on more walks? Do you want to get in more cardio? Like, you need to have tangible things. Otherwise, it's not going to progress like you want it to. Eating more fruit, that's great. See, that's a very tangible one. It's like, I'm going to make sure I eat fruit 3 times a week, or whatever that means for you, okay? Signed up for an herbalist class, that's great. That has to do with your health, and it's tangible, because you're taking classes, okay? I want to lose 100 pounds and move towards a vegetarian or a hunter-gatherer lifestyle. Great. So we want to pick something that's tangible within the year. Like maybe 100 pounds is not tangible within a year, or maybe it is, right? I'm not a doctor or a nutrition person, but pick a number that you can get to in a year, and then now we have a backboard. We're not going to feel guilty about the things that we eat, because sometimes that makes things worse. But we can go to the grocery store and say like, oh, I'm working on this goal, maybe I should get a couple things that are healthier for me, right? Not trying to like change the whole thing all at one time, but just say have that goal in mind of, hey, I want to lose 30-50 pounds this year, right? Because now it's in our subconscious, right? Okay. Going on a nature walk 2 or 3 times a week, if not more, great. So now we have a tangible goal that you can schedule those things into your calendar. Like, okay, when are you going to go on those walks? When are you going to do that? Right? So do you see how like these tangible goals make more forward movement in your life because you actually have something to work on than just like, oh, I want to be my healthiest version. Like that's a good goal, like a big goal. You got to have the little ones in between. I bought a plant-based cookbook. Perfect. See? Tangibility. Okay. So maybe for the plant-based cookbook, you take it a step further and you say 1 time a week, I am going to make a recipe out of this book, right? Those micro shifts that we make are how we shift into a new life and be a new person. It's all micro shifts, like a little bit at a time. I tell people all the time, you can literally change your life in 10-minute increments. How can I do something differently for 10 minutes today? I just do that every single day. And it starts to snowball. And then you start to do more and more and more and more and more. Right? Like sometimes we're trying to overhaul our whole life and then we don't end up doing anything or taking action steps because we don't have the tangible ones and we're overwhelming self. Don't do that. Scale it all the way back. Scale it all the way back. Okay? Like what can I do right now that will get me towards that bigger goal? I think a second goal would be to eat better and eat more often. Great. So maybe you set a timer on your phone every day at like 11 a.m. and that's your timer to make sure you've eaten something by 11 a.m. Right, that's a tangible thing you can do. Okay. Okay, what is a family goal? A goal that you have for your family. Family means different things too. Family does not mean your blood family always. It means your soul tribe. It means friends who you consider family. It can be you and yourself, right? You're part of your family system. It doesn't always, because a lot of us have trauma with our biological families, so I always like to preface that family means a lot of different things. Okay. Our first family vacation this year, great. So where do you want to go on vacation? Start planning it. You don't have to have, you do not have to have the money to plan. You can pick the hotel, you can pick the excursions that you go on, you can pick, you can just go ahead and plan it, because when you do that, you're telling the universe, I'm ready. You're like, I'm not worried about the financial part of it. What I am gonna do is prep and be ready. To spend more quality time with them, love that. So that's a tangible goal. So can we carve out time in our calendar that is intentional time to spend with our family? Like on Tuesdays at 5 p.m., we're gonna do family game night. Right? But if we just say like, oh, I wanna spend more quality time, it doesn't happen. Or less likely to happen. You have to make it tangible. Family canoe trip. Love that. Super fun. I used to go canoeing when I was a kid. It was super fun. Fun fact, there was this alligator that like was swimming around my canoe when I was like 16. It was terrifying. In my like family lake. But anyway, I digress. So you can plan your canoe trip. Like pre-plan it. Make a pinata for my son's 21st birthday. That sounds so fun. I love that. And I love that you're doing that for him, even if he's 21, because like we all have inner kids within us and we can still have fun. So you can plan that now. Okay. So what is a romance goal? Romance means a lot of different things too. Romance does not always have to do with a partner. It can also be with a relationship that you have with self. Like, do you want to take yourself on more dates? Do you want to go get yourself a massage? Do you want to take a candlelit bath more often? You know what I mean? Like, do you want to take yourself on a park date? Or it can be with a partner. Like, do you want to have better communication? Do you want to go on more dates with your partner? Do you want to, you know, there's like a million different things that you could do there. So, like, what is a romantic goal that you have? I'm gonna light this sage here. But thank y'all for liking and sharing the live. I appreciate that. Right. And again, that can be a reflectory question as well. Okay, so what is a career goal that you have? I'm inviting romance, planning to watch some summer sunsets. Oh, that's lovely. I love that. So now we can carve out time and we can start taking ourselves. Like, even if you're not in a partnership, like, if you want something with a partnership in the future, because I don't know if you're in one or not, Shayna, but this is just for anybody, but you can start doing those things with self, because you're telling the universe, like, oh, I would really love to do this with another person, but I can do it now with me, right? Nightly walks, love that. Okay. See, go ahead and start taking yourself on nightly walks, or with your partner. What is a career goal that we have? So this can be like, you want a promotion, you want a raise, you want to be valued more at work, you want to get along better with your coworkers, you want to start your own business. What is that? What do you want to happen in a year? What is you a year from now? What do you want for them in your career? Okay. Is this collective? Yeah, this is not reading. This is us doing goal setting with one another and connecting to our higher self. Start a healing and a tea business. Love that. So what are the action steps that you need to take to get there? Are we currently working on that? And then you need to break them all the way down. Like, sit down and make a list of as many things as you can possibly think of as steps. Because when we just say start a healing and tea business, that's very overwhelming. And so, like, what are the steps that we need to do to get there? Wanting to understand my polyamory and come into, I love that. Yeah. So maybe we read books, or we watch YouTube videos, or we find some people that are like in that lifestyle to like look up to and be a mentor. There's a lot of different things you could do. And so I'll read mine. So mine is sign a new mentorship client once a month, and excuse me, start planning a retreat for 2024. So this is me doing like an in-person retreat, spiritual retreat for people to come to. So I'm going to start planning that this year. And again, I got to break it all the way down into like a million different steps to be able to obtain that. But that is doable within the year, right? So pick something that is tangible that you can do. Okay. What is a friends and social goal? Like, do you want to find some more, like, find a woo metaphysical friend in your area? Do you want to go to more parties? Do you want to go to new networking events? Do you want to have a friend that you can go to the beach with? Like, what is that for you? What is a friend social goal? So when you think about yourself a year from now, what are they experiencing? Career goal is full-time spiritual worker. Love that. That's obtainable within a year. Regular clients, my own space to do energy healing, want a hand pan for sound healing. Love it. See, when we get more specific, now we're telling the universe like exactly what we want. Okay, so if anybody wants to share a friend social, I'll share mine. So I put make 2 new local spiritually woo aligned friends. I have a lot of people that are like kind of all over the place, right? But I want some more people that are like in my near vicinity. And so for me, what does that mean for me? That means that I have to go out and actively find them. I have to go to yoga classes. I gotta go to the metaphysical shops. I gotta go to networking things. Like, that takes inspired action on my part to find them. Attend more sound baths with my friends. Love that. Good. Okay. Find a friend that likes roller skating. Oh, if we lived next to one another, I would go roller skating with you because I love roller skating. Social goal is regular community with soul family. Love that. Share my Reiki healing with my friends. Great. So see, that's a tangible thing that we can do. Like, we have to ask them, like, hey, can I practice Reiki on you? Social goal is to have a community with a women's group. Great. Have friends who want to experience things rather than just go to bars to connect. Great. So, like, where are those friends at? Like, you can start hanging out in places and spaces where those people would be. Like, going to bars and go find them. So we gotta go, like, find groups to be a part of, or yoga studios, or metaphysical shops, or, you know, whatever that looks like for you. Okay. Oh, hey Samantha. Okay, so our next one is travel goal. Where is a travel goal that we want to go in a year? Maybe that's like a vacation spot. Maybe it's like a day trip for you. Maybe it's, you know, going out of the country. Again, we can start pre-planning for these things. Just because you may not have the quote-unquote money right now doesn't mean that you won't. If you prep for it and plan for it and tell the universe what you want, and you stay open, you never know what might come your way. Like, that's how I manifested a free trip to Disney last year. I feel like we walked into something. Yeah, we're talking about connecting to higher self and goal setting. I want to go to the Bahati Life Divine Feminine Immersion in Costa Rica. Oh, that's great. I was just talking about one of my goals is going to Costa Rica this year, to this Rhythmia Life place. I want to find waterfalls. Love that. So that's something you can do now with your kids, Lindsay. You can Google like local waterfalls like around you, or maybe somewhere that's like a day trip. Get my family their passports. Perfect. That's a tangible goal that you can work on in the meantime. Okay. And the last one is financial goal. So what is a financial goal that we have? Mine is making $100,000 this year. That is an amount that my brain will allow me to believe, because I've continuously like worked on my money mindset and like pushing my money container. But if I were to say like $1 million, that's too much for my brain. Okay, so my goal this year is $100,000. So you have to push your money container. Like, if you're making, let's say, $1,500 a month, like, you make an extra $500 a month, like, that might be a big jump for you, and that's fine. Or if you're making $40,000 this year, maybe $50,000 is a big jump for you, and that's fine. But you got to have an amount that your brain will allow you to believe, and not worry about how it's going to come to you. But it's got to push your boundaries, because when you manifest something that is a lot more than what you're manifesting right now, it forever locks it into your brain that you are capable of that. Like, when I went from making $2,000 a month to making $5,000 a month, that was a huge jump for me. But after I made that jump, because I didn't let my self-limiting beliefs stop me, and I said, yeah, I believe that's possible. I believe I can make $5,000. I don't know how, but I believe that's possible. Then I did. And then after that, every time I pushed my money container, it was a lot easier, because I was like, yeah, I've already done it. But you have to push yourself, right? And not worry about the hows and the whys. Okay. I always have a reserve for rent for a year in advance and in savings currently. Love that. Keep pushing your container. Like, especially if you work like a salary job and you're like, I know exactly how much money I make, well, then that's what you'll make. Like, if you say, well, I know that I make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, okay, well, then that's what you'll do. Like, you have to leave the realm of possibilities. Hey, Justin. You have to leave the realm of possibilities open for the universe, because if your container's not open, they're not going to send it to you. Like, how would they? If you keep on saying, well, I can't push past my money container because my salary gives me $2,000 every 2 weeks. Okay, well then that's what it will be. Like you have to let go of these rigid 3D paradigm things. This is with anything. This is not just the money goal. This is like spiritual health goal. Like there is so much progress that you can make in a year. Like it's wild. Like my life in the last 3 years is like, I can't even explain to you. Like the differences that are in my life right now, because I believed it was possible and I took the action steps to get there. Right? So like the only person that's stopping you from your goals and achieving these like wildly creative, imaginative things that are like wildly outside of your current life is you. And I'm not saying that we don't all have like things that stand in our way or like are trying to impede us. Like you know, we all have different backgrounds that we come from, but we've all seen representors of people that had absolutely nothing that made this wildly successful life for themselves. Right? So don't let your mindset stop you. Dream bigger. Whatever you're dreaming about right now is your big goals, dream bigger. Go past that. Because you're creating your own container. Right? Okay. So this is the last piece. So what are 5 words that describe your higher self? Like when you think about them a year from now, that have achieved all of these things that we talked about. What is a word that you would describe them as? So mine would be fun, magical, and whimsical. I combine those. Okay. Manifesting magnet for all good things. And I put sharp, like quick-witted is one, and then compassionate. That's how I see me a year from now as my higher self. So what is that for you? What is a word that you would describe them with, them having all the things and exhibiting all the behaviors and deep into their healing journey and just thriving and prosperous in life? If you want to share in the comments, I would love to read them. Kind, generous, intelligent, shamanic, earthly Gaia. Love that. So this is where we have a backboard and we can start asking ourselves, am I exhibiting these things? Like we have behavioral patterns that come up or triggers or self-limiting beliefs. We have to ask ourselves, would the higher version of myself be doing these things and saying these things? Would they be showing up like I'm showing up right now? Or would they be doing something else? Or would they be taking the steps? Would they be speaking positively to self? So this is how you shift into your higher self. This is how you literally quantum shift into them. But you have to personify them. Confident, yes. I love that. If you don't know what your higher self looks like a year from now, it's going to be very difficult to make shifts. You have to have some form of compass of what you're trying to embody, right? So again, when I'm asking my clients, sometimes like, who are you a year from now? And they're like, I don't know. Well, I'm like, well, you're gonna have a difficult time shifting. You got to have some type of direction that you're headed towards, and not just with tangible things. Intrinsic. What intrinsic shifts do you need to make in order to become that person? Because then when you have clarity around those things and you know very specifically the goals that you have and the emotions that you want to feel and the behaviors that you're exhibiting and the beliefs that you hold about yourself, then you can always keep yourself in check. Like for me, I used to like throw my clothes on the floor all the time, like just all over the place. And now when I go to throw a piece of clothing like on the floor, I say, is that what my higher self would do? Probably not. I need to go hang that up. Right? Or like when I want to go on a binge of eating like super unhealthy food, which is fine. Like we're not eating healthy all the time, like no guilt or anything, but sometimes it's too much. And my higher self would be like, if you want to be on the level that I'm at, then you need to make some healthier choices. Right? Or like behavioral patterns. Right? Like I'm doom scrolling on TikTok for hours, and then you can check yourself and say like, is this something that my higher self that has all the things that they want? Are they doom scrolling on TikTok for 6 hours? Probably not. Okay. So this is why we need to personify our higher self. So we have a way to keep ourselves in check. I will be confident and less bothered by triggers. Love that. See? And so like when you get triggered, you can ask yourself like, how would my personified higher self handle this? Right? But we're not going to be guilty and shameful, because this is like, it takes time. Like, you have to be compassionate with yourself and hold grace, because sometimes letting go of behavioral patterns and triggers is very difficult. Like when I quit smoking, which like there's no like judgment there, like smoking cigarettes, like that took me a long time to release. And what helped me was not being shameful and guilty while I was doing that. Right? Like, it's just saying like, I'm just gonna take it one day at a time and try and do less. And then eventually I let go of it. But holding shame and guilt only makes you want to do that behavioral pattern more, because it's a coping mechanism for something that is unresolved. And so it just makes you want to do it even more. Like sometimes I'll doom scroll on TikTok and I'll start to feel guilty. I'm like, no, it just is what it is. But next time we need to like figure out why we were doing that, because it's a coping mechanism. Like, what was I trying to escape from? But not be guilty, because it just is what it is. Okay. Okay. So hopefully this helped everybody. This is going to be up on my YouTube channel if you want to watch it in its entirety, because at the beginning we talked about inner child healing and processing your emotions and regulating your central nervous system, and how timeline shifting works. And so if you missed that portion, that will be available as too, because those work right in tandem with these goal setting. Like, you have to learn how to regulate your central nervous system and process your emotions and heal your inner children in order to shift into a new version of self and obtain these goals. They all are like one big web that work together. Okay. Good. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. And if you're watching on YouTube, remember to check the description down here. I have a lot of different information and ways to connect our work together. And if you're working, or if you're in here live right now, you can go to my profile and click, and I have different ways that we can work together. I have a mentorship program where we work one-on-one. I have a free guide of how to get more clients in your spiritual business, if you're wanting to do that. I have a multi-dimensional magic course where I teach you how to heal your inner children. And I teach you how to process your emotions and regulate your central nervous system, because that's a lot of information for like one chat. And that course is $35, and it's 6 hours worth of content. And you can just deep dive into all those concepts. I laid out very clearly on how to do this, all the things I learned on my journey. Or if you're watching on YouTube, it's down here in the description. But yeah, if anybody ever has any questions, you can always reach out to me. You can DM me, or you can leave comments here. And thank y'all for coming to this space. It's 11:11 my time, by the way. I was looking at my phone. Make a wish. So what's it saying? You can reach out to me. Thank you for coming to the space. Anytime that we're coming together to heal, it's helping not only our individual lives, but it's helping the collective, because we all learn and grow together, and then we go out and we respond differently to people in our lives and experiences. And so our individual work is doing collective shifts. Right. Okay. Thank y'all. I hope y'all have a very blessed and magical day, and then I will see you next time. Bye.